Oh, you damn right. House divided on a Thursday. But it's not just any Thursday. It's 9 damn days until House Divided gets together. We called the show House Divided for a reason, and that reason is 9 days from now. I'm Chad Hastings. Jeff Ketchum not with us today. He's trying to figure out this dental surgery that needs to be done. He's got to get some. We've all been there. I know. I am not listening to Jeffrey. Right. Exactly. So all the best to you, Ketch. We don't want the details, but he'll be back with us tomorrow, very hopefully. Coming up later in the show, Brian Jones is going to jump in at his normal time, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to get this guy in one more time before we hit this big recruiting weekend. That's Jason Sukamel of OrangeBloods.com. No Cowboys fans. He is not here to talk Steelers Browns. That's not.
I can if you want.
He can. But he's not here to break that down. We are here to talk some Texas football, and we're going to start with recruiting specifically. Jason, I appreciate the time, and I've been so excited, obviously, with this game coming up. Now that we're single-digit days away, it's just the pressure builds, the excitement builds, and all of that. But what also hit me today is we're getting another back-to-back Austin College Station opportunity for recruits. Now, it's not Texas, Georgia this time, but it is Texas with all of what they want in front of them. Everything they're looking for is out in front of them. It's a 2:30 kick. If people haven't checked, the weather's going to be in Austin this weekend to show off for these recruits. And it's going to be just a massive stage. So I wanted to talk to you about the names that we know are coming in. But you know me, I want to start at the tip top. And this story that developed over the week of Michael Fasusi, I think it's the perfect place to start. Michael Fasusi now scheduled to come in and for the Texas-Kentucky game instead of the Oklahoma-Bama game, which will be going on in Norman. Give me your Thursday thoughts on kind of how big a deal this is that they are going to get one last, not official as in official visit, but just one last moment to show Michael Fasusi what they've got.
Yeah, things are changing in a hurry this week. Literally, I posted some notes this morning, and those things may be old news, but it's noon now. So those things are like changing so rapidly right now. So let's talk about Fasusi. And I'm going to tell you something, Chad, I haven't put out anywhere. It's going to be in the War Room tonight, but I'll tease it here. I don't mind.
Okay.
He is coming in for the game. Okay, we've reported that. The Texas game against Kentucky. He is going to be at the A&M game against Texas next Saturday, of course. Oklahoma's still trying to fight and shut this stuff down. They're trying to fight to keep his commitment intact. Could that happen? Absolutely. You've heard me say, Chad, repeatedly, if he flips his commitment, I don't think it's a guarantee it's going to be Texas. A lot of people are saying, it's no-brainer. If he doesn't go to Oklahoma, it's going to be Texas. It's going to be Texas. I'm telling you, I've been saying it. Don't discount Texas A&M. I have heard some kind of, some confidence from the A&M side. I've kind of brushed it off a little bit. There's some rumblings this week that, hey, if it's not Oklahoma, A&M might be the choice. So this is a big visit for Texas. It's a big weekend. Obviously, it'll be a big week when he goes to Texas A&M next week and gets to see Texas and Texas A&M play. But you've heard me say it, dude, for 2 months on our recruiting hour. If he flips, I think it'll be Texas, but it's not a guarantee. Well, right now, I think it's maybe 50-50 between Texas and Texas A&M. I saw my man, Sam Spiegelman, who I love Spiegs, and he's our Rivals recruiting analyst, regional guy. He actually filed a story today saying, hey, he's predicting Fasusi to Texas. So I've been so crazy busy this morning, I haven't had time, but I'm going to call Sam and be like, hey, dude, what are you hearing? Because here's what I'm hearing. It might not be Texas if he flips his commitment, but big visit coming in this weekend. I mean, seriously, the news is flying fast and furious, but that's kind of the latest chatter I've been hearing last night, a little bit this morning. So interesting. It's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks up until National Signing Day.
Yeah,
Tyler in the chat, I knew was coming, said, Jason, stop. Sorry, yeah, right. Tyler. I know that's not what you guys wanted to hear. Hopefully my intel is wrong. I'm sorry. Probably making Chad's day over there. Chad trying to hide those smiles. But yeah, it's Texas has a battle on their hands, not just with Oklahoma, but with Texas A&M.
Yeah, that would be absolutely wild if it turns out to be anywhere close to a coin flip. Obviously, just more news Brent Venables does not want to hear as we get closer to signing day. If he doesn't, I think he knows. He can't say it out loud. He can't say, okay, look, he's done everything but say, come on. We know the writings on the wall here. So the fact that he's coming in this weekend obviously is huge. And then, Jason, I've added that name Owusu Boateng over and over again. First off, it's fun to say. Nathaniel Owusu Boateng. It's just fun. But then when I learned he was the #1 outside linebacker in America, I thought, okay, well, that's even cooler. And now we have this weird thing where it was going to be, you can fill the people in here. It was going to be Notre Dame or maybe Texas, and now it's somebody else and maybe Texas. Like, where are we on Owusu Boateng? And do we know for sure if he's going to come check out Texas and Kentucky?
It was going to be Notre Dame or Michigan was the belief. Okay. He visited Notre Dame a couple weeks ago. Things didn't go very well on that visit. So I think Notre Dame actually kind of pulled off there a little bit. He visited Colorado last weekend. There's a lot of talk now that Colorado's surged in this one. So maybe it's Colorado or Michigan. Texas just kind of waiting in the weeds here. Everybody's been waiting, saying, hey, Texas will get him on campus for this official visit. And I've talked to people who talk to Owusu Boateng a lot, and they're like, hey, we're not discounting Texas. When they get him in for that official visit, that could change things dramatically. They've got a puncher's chance, the phrase people like to use. To my knowledge, Chad, he's still coming in this weekend. I actually texted Owusu Boateng yesterday. He has not responded. I haven't heard from any sources that he's not coming, but I need to reconfirm that. But that plan's been in place for about 6 weeks or so. So I would be surprised if they canceled. It isn't an official visit. This is the last chance for Texas to get him on campus. So, we'll see. Right now, it sounds like it's a Michigan Colorado battle, which is new.
Oh, that's right. Deion's involved in this now.
Yeah, Deion's involved in it too. That's right. Now, everybody I've talked to for the last month or so said, hey, we're not counting Texas out. This is the Texas Longhorns. They can make up ground in a hurry. But he's never been to Texas. He's visited Colorado a couple times, Michigan multiple times, Notre Dame. So for Texas to win this one, it would have to be almost fall in love at first sight. He comes in this weekend for his official visit. They blow him away. They show him the depth chart and say, look, dude, look at the opportunities you've got in this defense. Obviously, NIL, let's be honest, NIL would be a factor there. But, it would have to be love at first sight. It'd have to move at breakneck speed. But this staff and the university itself is certainly capable of pulling that off.
We got some chats that we're going to get to. If you want to throw a super chat at us, we will get those right to the top of the list. Jason's going to be with us till about the bottom of the hour here. We're about 8 minutes after the hour right now. So if you want to get your questions in for him, we'll get back to the Fasusi discussion here in the chats. Before we do that, let's just remind you about the watch party this week. It makes Jason and me smile every time we get to say TCH Social Austin and talk about that bacon. I'll show you the bacon in a second. Let's talk about the beer specials first. $1.30 is when they start this week. $1 draft, $2 jellyfish. Here is the screen plus the food. Down there in the bottom right, yep, that cup that looks like a cup of bacon. It's a cup of bacon. It's Bad Beat Bacon. If you just ordered that, in fact, this week, I think I might just order Bad Beat Bacon and a beer, and I think I'm going to be good. The food's excellent. The drinks are great. So come on out and check us out at TCH Social Austin, 183 and Anderson Mill. Jason, we had a great question come in.
Real quick, Chad, I got to ask, did you have the biscuits and gravy or was that somebody else?
That was somebody else. That was our guy, Mark, that let me take a picture. I did not try them.
Yeah, okay. So every time I've gone there, I'm like, man, I love biscuits and gravy. And then we've gone for a couple morning games, all right?
It looked incredible.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give those a try too. So.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to sample every damn thing on that menu before I get out of it.
Yeah, and also Eric throws in a wonderful question. Eric, thank you for jumping in. Chad, I'm from Maryland. I've never heard of jellyfish. Is it a beer or a mixed drink? Eric, I'm so glad you asked. It is a beer. It is an IPA. I call it the IPA that saved the day in 2015. Pint House makes it. The Pint House Brewery and Pizza Place. They have, it's a great combo. The pizza's great too. They're up in Round Rock, And back in 2015, they came up with this IPA. We got to go out there and do a little tour, and I heard the whole story. It's a wild story about there were some hops that weren't available, so they went with these other hops, and there's like 6 or 7 combined in Jellyfish. It is just, the name's awesome, obviously, but it's just an IPA that if you love IPAs, I think you'll dig it. If you don't like IPAs, I think you'll dig it, because I'm not a massive IPA guy by nature, but there was something about it the first time I had it, and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. And it's just gone crazy since then. And I would argue, as I'm sitting here today in 2024, I couldn't think of an IPA that the Austin area would care about more. It's everywhere. You can get cans of it at the Moody Center for concerts. It's on tap at all my favorite places to go. And yeah, so it is a hazy IPA is the easiest description, but that's kind of the more full story of the electric Jellyfish. And $2 for a pint of it is silly, Eric, because if you buy the can at a Moody Center concert, you pay $18, which is worth it, by the way. It's Jellyfish. Come on out, TCH Social Austin this week. You will find out what we're talking about. All right, so let me just double check for super chats here. Okay, don't see super chats, but Jason, we did have some chats in on Fasusi. Back to that discussion. Vivek says, why doesn't Fasusi like Texas that much more? OU is looking horrible. Aren't people chirping in his ear?
Yeah, no, Vivek, you're on to something there. I mean, yeah, people are in his ear. Oklahoma's struggling. You know, Fasusi told me this week, he's like, hey, everybody has a bad year and injuries and things like that. He acted like it wasn't necessarily Oklahoma's poor season that was causing him to look around. But let's be honest. I mean, you know, that does have a factor in things. I mean, he also said, well, I didn't foresee this kind of season coming when I committed, you know. So I think there's certainly some truth to that OU looking terrible. But I'm just, you know, Texas makes a lot of sense. But A&M was a strong player in this one. You know, when he first committed to Oklahoma, it's not like A&M was a non-factor. So he likes Texas a lot. I mean, Fasusi will tell you, dude, nothing but love for Texas. He's used those words with me. He loves the staff down there. He loves the culture. He loves the fan base at Texas. His Texas fans have treated him well. So, you know, if you're a Texas fan, you see him at the game this weekend, say what's up. Those recruits like that. So it's not that he doesn't love Texas. I mean, he just really likes Oklahoma. He really likes A&M. I mean, Michael Fasusi is a very likable guy, and he's a guy that likes a lot of different things. He's just a people pleaser, and he just gets along with everybody. So it's not that he doesn't like Texas, but he just has strong feelings for Oklahoma. He's strong feelings for A&M. Chad, I said yesterday on the recruiting hour, I don't think Michael Fasusi knows what he's going to wind up doing. I really don't. And after talking to him this weekend, I mean, I think he's that torn between the 3 schools and business decision versus feeling and family involvement and everything else. So I think this thing is still unsettled. It may not be settled until the early signing period, you know, December 4th. So, you know, we're kind of waiting for these dominoes to fall, but right now it's still very much open.
All right, so Lewis throws in something on the A&M side of the discussion. He says, is there a reason that you know of why A&M might be the favorite? It would really suck if we finish third to both him and Moore. 2 can't miss in-state guys. So, Jason, in terms of why, is it just the kind of what you just discussed, that he kind of likes them all?
Yeah, I don't know why specifically this A&M chatter kind of came up. You know, not saying the favorite necessarily, but they're maybe co-favorites, you know, 50-50, I said.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really know the specifics other than he's always had a good connection with A&M. You know, Chad, you know their depth chart. I think we talked about it yesterday. There's probably some opportunities for him there. So, you know, maybe they've talked NIL. I don't know specifically what A&M sales pitch that is apparently resonating with him, but it's nothing new. A&M's been squarely in the mix for a long time.
Yeah, and then somebody else just threw in the words playing time. Jefferson just threw that in as a, you know, a possibility. That is part of it. But as we talked about too on the recruiting hour, Jason, the argument for him getting playing time at Texas is there. If it really does come down to these next 2 weeks for Fasusi, go see let's go see the show they put on in Austin, go see the show they put on in College Station, and then pick between those two. If that's really what he's doing, both of those places are going to be able to tell him, Mike, we'll have a spot for you. If you want to be that badass freshman everybody talks about, here's how it will work. I think both of those offensive lines could use him, no doubt.
Yeah, and that recruiting pitch looks a lot better for Texas now than it did 4 months ago. I actually saw an ESPN mock draft today, and it had Kelvin Banks going third, and Cam Williams was like 15th or 16th. So, I mean, it's almost a foregone conclusion. Both those guys are going to be gone, right? So, Texas can certainly sell early playing time now a lot better than they could. And Benji, no, I didn't fall asleep in a tanning booth. I don't know what it is about these. I don't know if I've got a light, this ring light, or if I got like kind of reddish walls behind me. Yeah, but I always feel like when I look at this, I'm like, why do I look like I just ran a 100-yard dash and my face is all red and stuff. So don't know what it is, Ben, but no, I have not. I've never in my life been in a tanning booth, Ben. And
yes, the Jason Sukamel lighting is one of the most mysterious things about Orange Bloods Live and the YouTube channel. He either looks like he lives on a beach in Florida, or he lives in Ireland and never goes outside.
Yeah, so I have two different cameras, and one I look like I'm a ghost, and the other one I look like I'm sunburned all the time. So I can't win either way, dude.
If you know these two actors, he goes from like Eddie Redmayne to George Hamilton, like that.
Let me do a little test while we're having a little fun here.
Here we go. Okay.
I'm gonna let me change my camera up. And
okay, they're saying
I haven't used this camera in a long time, but sorry, I know this. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to the other camera. So.
Yes, you're right. And it like
it's not as washed out as I thought it was, but it's pretty bad. Yeah. But on this one, I have to pull it like super close and get super close. So, now you can see my messy desk behind me and my elliptical that never gets used. And
that's true. It's a little more work environment here.
Yeah,
it's like work
environment either way.
There's the Jason that works too much and never goes outside. The other Jason just spends all his time outside. That's what it is. All right. There you go. Hey, you know what? South KMX, how dare you give some of that redness to Chad? He's looking a little pasty. LOL. I always look a little pasty. I don't think I can do anything to this color scheme in here to mess with that. But thank you so much for noticing.
I've actually thought, and I don't get too off the rails here. So my son's in college now, right? I'm like, maybe I'll go use his room anytime I do a video because he's got good natural lighting in his bedroom where I don't in my little cave up in office here. So maybe next week you'll see me. I'll be in a totally different room. Maybe it'll fix some of these lighting problems.
There you go. Go find it. Go find a better room. That'll be well done. Bink says Sukamel fell asleep in a tanning booth. Chad fell asleep in a cave in northern Alaska.
Our viewers are so kind. They love us so
much.
They
really are. They really are. They're just sweethearts. Sweethearts. Yes. Over 400 of them right now in the Specs chat. We appreciate you.
I get enough ribbing from my own kids. I don't need it from our viewers.
Oh, exactly. Come on. That's exactly what I was thinking. What are we doing here? All right, Jason, a couple other questions somebody threw in kind of off the topic we just hit, but I do want to get back to your kind of updated list for Texas, Kentucky. But real quick, Eric threw in, Jason, is Dia Bell a better prospect than KJ Lacey? Obviously, we're talking quarterbacks here.
Yeah, boy, Eric, that's a good question. I'll say it this way. I think they're both really good prospects. I think Dia maybe has a higher ceiling. Now, is he going to reach it? We'll see. And KJ Lacey's got a really high ceiling as well. I mean, those guys are, you put them in Sark's offense and AJ Milwee and their quarterback development. I mean, both those guys have a chance to be high caliber college quarterbacks. They're pretty similar, and they just both have a really good feel for the game. I think Diaz is maybe a more natural athlete in terms of he can run the ball a little bit more effectively. That's not really his game. He's more of a passer, but he can run the ball if need be. I guess of those two, I would probably say Diaz a little bit higher rated in my mind, or should be. I don't even know where they're ranked, to be honest with you. But just because I think he's got a higher ceiling, but that doesn't mean he'll, not every guy reaches that ceiling either. But it's a really good question, Eric. You asked 50 people, you might get 25 answers each way. But yeah, I'd probably go with just slightly, just in terms of potential upside.
There we go. Appreciate that, chat. Also, this one came in. I think our audio is good and Doug is understanding us. So he's not asking if we're speaking French. He wants to know if we're talking French today. Jason, is Jamie French a name we can add to the Texas list this week, or do we know yet?
Yeah, he's coming in. He had told me 2 weeks ago after the Florida game, I saw him as he was leaving town. And he's like, yeah, I might come back for that Kentucky game. Well, then he takes the official visit to Florida last weekend, and it's like, that's not great news. And people in Florida are like, hey, keep an eye on this one. I think Florida has a chance. Well, now Jamie's coming back this weekend to Austin for the Kentucky game. He confirmed that with me yesterday or Tuesday. I don't remember when it was, but he will be here. So to me, that's a really good sign for Texas. That to me eases a lot of the concerns maybe I had when I was hearing things on Sunday and Monday about. And Jamie did tell me on Monday via text message, hey, it's all Longhorns, right? I was like, okay, I know what you're telling me in your quote, but your actions going to Florida for an official visit, sound like you're keeping the door open. This is me just talking. I didn't say that to Jamie, of course. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he is coming back for the Kentucky game this weekend, and again, this is on his own dime, just like the Florida game, the Georgia game, he was there on his own dime, right? So this is 3 times he has flown in on his own dime to come watch Texas on unofficial visits. So that makes me feel pretty good about where Texas stands with Jamie French. People in Austin feel pretty good about where they stand with Jamie French.
Doug, thank you for that one. Now let's get to a couple names we wanted to discuss today. Thank you, ZOV, for getting us there. Sukamel, what's the word on Kellen Wiley? He's not going to Miami this weekend after all.
Yeah, my fellow Yankee fan, ZOV. Yeah, he's not going to Miami. Here's the deal. I asked someone in the state of Florida, I said, hey, you got a read on what this kid's going to do? And they're like, nope, he's kind of hard to predict and kind of hard to trust when he tells you something, for lack of better words. He had tweeted last night, hey, if my video gets 5,000 views, I'm going to make a commitment. Well, it hit 5,000 this morning. I texted Wiley and I said, hey, are you going to commit today? He goes, maybe. I'm like, okay. I'm going to seriously pull up my text message. I'm like, yeah, maybe was his response. I said, maybe. Okay, you don't know? And I'm going to just read it because off the record, hey, should I have a Texas story written? I said, I'm not going to say anything if it's Texas. I said, I just want to be prepared. And he said, I'm not sure who it would be. And I'm like, hold on, you might commit today, but you don't know who it's going to be. I don't buy that, Kel. I don't buy that for one bit. So, he did visit Texas 2 weeks ago. It was actually the Florida game. I talked to him after that visit. Dude, he raved about it, the connections, the people, loves the direction of the program. He's got 5 schools, though, he said. He's not really saying who they are and which other ones are in the mix. But Miami was the school that everybody thought was the favorite. He was supposed to go there this weekend for an official visit. Now he's saying he's not going. So that's a pretty big shakeup in this thing. If it's not Miami, if they're truly out, it could be Texas based on just my conversation with him. Again, Kellen, as you can tell from my text exchange, and even when you talk to him face to face, he does not tip his hand very much. But if he's going to decide, and I've got my alerts on in case he commits today. No, I do not have a commitment story written because this thing's kind of all over the place. There is one other one. I have 2 other ones actually I have commitment stories written for. He is not one of them. But you know what? He might wind up committing today and pulling a rabbit out of the hat. Maybe it winds up being Texas. I think Texas is in a good spot there, ZOV. But I honestly don't have a great read on what he's going to do or when he's going to do it, despite him saying last night, if this thing gets to 5,000 deals, I'm going to commit. It's at 5,000 views. We'll see if something happens today. I'm not really expecting it, but I'm on commit watch just in case.
All right, ZOV, thank you for that one. Also, Jason, I wanted to get your thoughts on Zion Williams. I see there's been some discussion about him recently and whether or not he would end up at Texas, Kentucky to check it out. What are you hearing?
As of this morning, he's not coming. Zion had told me Monday or Tuesday he was a maybe to come into this game, okay? And then word started leaking out last night that he is coming to the game. And the way Zion described it to me this morning, he's like, man, I'm not happy about that. I only told a couple people. I wanted it to be on low key on the visit. He said, I'm canceling the visit now. He tweeted last night, like, I'm not going anywhere. I was going just to watch a couple games because Texas, he was maybe going to go to Texas A&M, but he said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm locked into LSU. So the official word from Zion is he's not coming. That's what he told me this morning. Chad, I'm still going to be looking for him on Saturday when I'm down on campus before the game. I will still have one eye out looking for Zion Williams because this may be something you've seen these kids do this before where it's like, you know what, I'm going to say, no, I'm not going, just to kind of keep LSU off his back, keep reporters off his back, and then he shows up anyways. So the official word from Zion is that he's not coming, but I'm not ruling it out. Let's just say that.
It's so weird, Jason. You just made me think of something completely off topic, but I was just watching this documentary about Princess Diana, and it's something that had been on my DVR, and I kind of cleaned it off this week. And there was this fascinating, like, interior discussion, almost like how much attention did she want and how much attention did she not want? And it made me think about recruits. So I'm trying to think about these kids, right? About there's got to be a level of I want them to know my name and my face theoretically. I want them to know I'm coming sometimes, but do I really want them to know I'm coming? Is it going to be too much? Do I still want it to be a secret? Like, that balance to me is really interesting, especially when we get to late in the season like this and you're about to hit signing day. Like, how does that factor into maybe a guy like Zion?
It's tough. Honestly, it's tough. And let's take, with Zion, yeah, you've got, okay, you want the attention, but that you don't want the attention. Sometimes stuff gets leaked out and it can be detrimental. And like people say, oh, like somebody leaked it on purpose. Well, sometimes that can happen, but it's tough. I mean, we're talking with teenagers here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's kind of like, the linebacker that said, hey, I might commit today. Well, okay, dude, but like, so clearly you're putting that on Twitter because you want people to pay attention, right? So
especially if you're going to say I'll commit once the views get to a certain
exactly
spot.
So
right,
but then they don't want to tip their hand. Like if Kellen Wiley really wanted to play this up, if he was going to commit to Texas today, he would tell me and be like, hey, don't tell anybody. And I would never. It's his moment, not mine. But I could hype it up and be like, hey, big news coming. Or, you know what, Kellen, hey, let me have a story written with quotes. So when you commit, and we'll have a graphic made and we'll put it on the Rivals homepage and maybe we'll get you on for a video. I mean, but yet they want to keep everything secret, but you're not marketing yourself very well. So, I don't know, man. It's a double-edged sword a lot of times for these kids. And I get it. Zion doesn't want LSU blowing up his phone a million times. That's a lot about what it's worth. And LSU reporters and, hey, are you solid with LSU? And the LSU coaches trying to talk him out of coming to Texas. So a lot of times they'll just say, hey, don't put it out there until I get to campus. Okay, I'll sit on it until you get to campus. But it's tough. There's different ways to handle it. I always love the kids, of course, who are like, yeah, okay, just don't say anything. I'm committing on Thursday at 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. Here's a couple quotes, and then I got everything written and ready to go, and they commit right at 4 p.m. Those are my favorites, Chad. Those are ones. So, otherwise, sometimes I'm handcuffed to my computer. Listen, dude, you and I were talking off the air. As soon as I get off the air here, I've got to go run an errand. It's going to take me like an hour. I'm going to have to take my computer with me in case I'm driving down the road and Kellen Wiley commits. I'm like, okay, I got to have my computer strapped to my back as I'm driving down the highway. So it's just the nature of the beast when you cover recruiting, man.
Yeah. Speaking of Jason's schedule, I know you need to run here in a sec, Jason. Let's end it with this from Eric. He says, Jason, buy or sell more than 1.5 commits this weekend. Oh, look at that. Eric's putting a hook in there. 1 and a hook on commits. Buy or sell, you'd go over 1.5.
I'm selling that, Eric. I'm going, if you'd have said even 1 or even a half commit, I don't think anybody commits this weekend, certainly not publicly. You might have someone that makes their mind up privately. Maybe they tip something off to the coaches, but I'm not expecting Michael Fasusi or Owusu Boateng or any of these unofficial. If Zion Williams shows up, I don't expect he's going to announce on Saturday night or Sunday morning, I'm committed to Texas. It's possible. Hey, we've been talking about it for 30 minutes. These are teenagers we're talking about, so nothing's out of the question, Eric. But yeah, I would sell. I don't think you're going to get, certainly not more than 1.5 public commitments this weekend.
I think that is probably fair. Jason, real quick, I saw your prediction on the Prize Pick show today. Tell me if I'm wrong. You had 27-10 Texas?
That's right. Yeah, I kind of went back and forth, and I don't have a great feel on this one like I did last week. My matchups say Texas should cover the spread. I posted my matchups this morning. Texas dominates them, but Kentucky's good enough defensively. They're going to try to keep that Texas offense from in front of them like Arkansas did, make Texas work its way down the field. Kentucky can run the ball somewhat effectively. So I went with a lower scoring game, Chad, but it is senior day at home. I could see Texas just, if they're clicking, if Quinn Ewers could hit a couple of deep balls, he missed them last week, but if he's on point this weekend, I could see this game certainly covering that, whatever it is, 20.5-point spread. Right now, I've got a lower scoring game where Texas doesn't quite cover the spread, but still win pretty easily.
There you go. All right. That's Jason Sukamel. Check out orangebloods.com. It's Thursday as we sit here recording this show. That means it is War Room night tonight. All the very latest, some of the stuff Jason got into today, and I'm sure some stuff that will develop over the afternoon while he's just driving around. Orangebloods.com. Thursday nights is War Room night. Jason, have a good day. Good luck to your Steelers tonight. I know my wife would want me to tell you that. I have mixed feelings on the matter, but she would want me to tell you good luck on the Steelers. So enjoy the game.
Appreciate it. Just know that I will have my War Room fully written and filed by 7 p.m. so I can just watch that game and try to get away from reality for a couple hours.
That's going to be a good idea. Safe travels, man.
Thank you, man.
Jason Sukamel, orangebloods.com. Again, check all of that out. We'll get to some of your other chats that are in. We appreciate his time. And, man, what a weekend it is developing into. Let's get some of your chats here that came in. Again, if you want to throw a super chat in, that'll go right to the top. We got chats that we can get to. Before we do that, let's take a breath and hear from AV Consultations. Holiday time coming up. Here's Tom, a little holiday message for you.
Visual Consultations and all of us at Audio Visual would like to wish you and your family a happy holiday season. This time of year can get a little hectic, so we want to remind you to relax, enjoy the season with your family and friends, and give us a call at 512-255-8678 for all of your home entertainment needs. This is my favorite time of the year. I love the holidays, the music, the decorations, the presents, the whole darn thing. So this year I'm asking all you listeners to help make this a special holiday for everyone. Smiles are contagious and free, so let's give them away like the government gives away your money. Let's high-five strangers on the street. Hold the door for people behind us. Tip your servers more than they've ever been tipped before. Give to a charity, or hell, give to a bunch of charities. If someone does a good job, tell them they did a good job. Pat someone on the butt. Sing in public places just because it feels good. And as always, hug your kids until they beg you to stop. Watch some games with your friends and make love to your wife or your husband. I know there's some women listening too. You can still give us a call at 512-255-8678 if you'd like to get some cool electronics, but more importantly, have a great holiday season and a friggin' awesome next year.
Was that pat someone on the butt? I think that was. All right. The chats have been rolling in. We appreciate you doing that. Reminder, Brian Jones coming up after the 1 o'clock spot. I got buy or sell for Brian Jones today. Brian of CBS Sports, God love them. They've got Penn State and Minnesota this week. They also have the Boise game on CBS Sports Network in the mid-afternoon and Colorado State, Fresno State at night on CBS SN. But I want to get Brian's thoughts on CFP, obviously Texas, and does he think the Aggies are beating Auburn, all that kind of stuff. We'll get to that later on. Brad, I will play your game. I saw this chat earlier and I kind of enjoyed it. If the draft was tomorrow and all of these players were eligible, put these in quarterback draft order: Ewers, Arch, and Beck. My gut says Arch, Ewers, Beck. That's my first reaction based on what I've seen. And maybe it's because we've seen, I'm thinking of where that, where the ceiling ultimately is on Arch. But to me, Arch would be the first name on that list. Give us your thoughts on that, if you like. People are throwing in on Fasusi as well. Apparently, Fasusi likes the small town college feel. Makes sense with Norman and Colleyville. Jose, that is certainly possible. We don't know. I mean, the kid's from Louisville, so I don't know exactly where Michael Fasusi lives in terms of, does he feel more like a small town guy versus a big city guy? I don't know. That's one of the things I love about these next 2 weeks, about the Texas A&M comparison and contrast. Because if you want that big college football feel in a city, Texas offers a hell of an opportunity to do that. If you want the big college football feel in a college town, A&M offers that opportunity in a pretty big way. And depending on how you want to look at it, maybe in a way that not many other college towns can. So maybe you do end up that way. Interesting stuff from Jason on Fasusi. I want to know if you guys agree with this. I'd rather have Fasusi stay at OU as opposed to flipping to A&M. Is plethora right there? Would y'all agree, Texas fans? I mean, I get the overall theory there. If you're looking at Oklahoma and thinking they're not much of a threat right now on the field and the Aggies are more of a threat, you don't want him to go there, right? I guess that's it. Plus, if you're a Longhorn fan, would you tell me that A&M fans might get a little, what's the word? Insufferable if Michael Fasusi ends up wearing maroon? Just maybe. I could see how Texas fans would have that thought. We'll see what happens. But again, the idea that Fasusi is not only coming in this week, but is going to go to the game in College Station. Like I've said this week, there's a version of Michael Fasusi going to College Station on November 30th that I could live with if I'm Brent Venables. I could even sell that to people as, don't worry, it's just a big game in his state. It's fine. It's not an official visit. Don't worry. If he wants to go on his own dime, whatever. We're going to be in Baton Rouge. But it's this week that keeps getting me. If I was an OU fan, I don't need to hear anything other than what he says, what this week is all about. You can stay at home if you want. You can go visit family if you want. But if you go to any other football game for any kind of visit besides Bama OU and you're Michael Fasusi, you have sent a message. You are sending a clear message. Maybe I'm just old man fan and I'm wrong and we're all wrong to have this discussion. And Fasusi on signing day will just go, what? I'm an Oklahoma commit. I'm signing with Oklahoma. What are you guys talking about? Maybe this is all just a big bait and switch. Not even a bait and switch, just a bait and non-switch, I guess is what that would be. I don't know. Tyler says he agrees with Plethora. Rather Fasusi just stay with the Sooners than flip to the Aggies. I could certainly understand that thinking. In terms of, okay, then Tyler throws in this weird question. I think I know the answer here, but would it be legal for someone that is a fan of a school to pay for their way to go to these games? Like if Dave Portnoy paid the way for recruits to visit Michigan. So you're asking if a booster can pay for unofficial visits. Tyler, here's my assumption. I think the above the board, above the table answer is clearly no. It's like an obviously not. Are there ways around it? I'm not sure. But I wouldn't be shocked if I found out there were ways around that. But in terms of out and out doing it, throwing out a social media post, hey, we're proud to say that we're paying for these unofficial visits this weekend when Texas faces Kentucky. I don't think you can do that. No, I don't think that's allowed. I don't think, just to pick a Longhorn connected person. I don't think Renee Zellweger or Bullock or McConaughey or Kevin Durant could announce on social media, hey, I really want Michael Fasusi to have a great time in Austin this weekend. I'm going to pay for his trip. I don't think you can do that. I don't really think you can do that. All right. Chat's rolling in right now. I appreciate you being there. There's a lot of stuff to kind of get into today. I think there's a lot of stuff on my mind today, 9 days before the House divided game. Again, Jeff Ketchum dealing with the whole dental situation. He's got to have some stuff done. He's taking care of that today. He'll be back tomorrow. Brian Jones coming up about 1:20 or so, and he will have some buy or sell coming from me. But between now and then, please jump in to the Specs chat. And I do have a subject for you. Before we hit you with the subject, let's hit you with a little bit of Lisa and the Rabbit. Go get stocked up at Specs before your watch party this weekend.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right, so here's the question for you in the chat. Longhorn fans, I want to know your nervous level for the Kentucky game. Because I'll tell you, from my side of the house divided, I'm a little nervous about the Aggies' ability to go to Auburn, handle their business, and set up what to set up what a lot of folks want, what I certainly want for that house divided game. So I've got some nerves. That's a 2.5-point line, though. Where are you guys on 20.5 with Texas and Kentucky? 1 to 10 scale, how nervous are you for your team getting it done this week? Let me know what you think, because my nerves right now are definitely past 5 as an A&M fan. I might be up at like 7 to 8, because they're just in a weird spot coming out of getting whipped like that, bye week, play a nobody, and your run game you've lost your running back. There's just a lot of question marks with the Aggies. To me, there are, I don't know about far less, but there are definitely less with Texas. So let me know what you're thinking. I'm staring at an Auburn rush defense that's supposedly 12 in the country. It's got me a little nervous. Hooked on the Horn says nerve level 1. Kenny is at a 2. Hunter is at a 2. Lewis is at a 3. I think I can understand that. And for the record, the predictions today on the Prize Pick show from the other guys, Anwar went 24-13, win but no cover. Jason 27-10, win but no cover. And Alex went 28-13, win but no cover. Jarrah says he's at a 2 nerve level. Hunter says that Kentucky offense just can't do enough to scare Texas. Hunter, I completely agree with you. Whatever this is about to say, those guys did not pick a cover. We'll get Jeff Ketchum's official prediction tomorrow on the show, because I have not heard Ketch predict this game specifically yet. But I've got a cover, barely. I got 27-6. I don't think Texas gives up a touchdown in this game. That's how much I'm trusting that defense. Hunter, I'm with you. The Kentucky offense is not going to be able to do enough. I'm going to trust that Texas defense and what we are seeing, and I think they're going to pitch a 2-field goal game the other way. 27-6 is my prediction. So it doesn't sound like you guys are going through a lot of nerves here. Oscar says Texas doesn't cover, unfortunately. So, but hey, those kind of scores though, 27-10, last week's score, you'd take that all day. Is this the game that Barron gets a pick 6? Maybe Bates, maybe. Kentucky offense, not good. Not good at all. In fact, the Kentucky offense, where are they? 107 in total offense. Yeah. How about this? ATX Bates, a why the hell not? Who cares? 65-6. That would be big time. JD says Texas covers for the first time in a while. And then somebody asked, is Kentucky healthier than they've been all year? I think they are pretty healthy comparatively, but they were way banged up recently. Just really, really banged up. All right. We got a couple other chats I want to get to, but first, if you're a Texas fan, here's some numbers you should love. Last week, I told you about a couple numbers, Texas, Arkansas, that you could love. Here's some you should really love. Texas, they're 7th in the country in interceptions. Kentucky, passes had intercepted 113. They've thrown 12 picks. That could match up well for Texas. Texas pass defense is 1st in the country. Passing offense for Kentucky, 114. Bad matchup for Kentucky. Scoring defense for Texas, maybe the most important thing, right? How much do you give up? Texas is 4th in the country in scoring defense. Kentucky is 109 in scoring offense. Maybe the most important offensive stat is just how much can you score? Pass efficiency defense, Texas is 2. Pass efficiency for Kentucky is 116. Texas should be able to handle their business on this one. Doesn't sound like there's a lot of nerves for you guys as Texas fans. I get it. Again, I am hoping that these two teams can handle their business and set up a house-divided game, the likes of which we have just not seen. I looked up just to double-check. If everybody handles business and we get a top 15 matchup in this game, it has only happened 5 times. That's it. And not since that famous last Southwest Conference game, the big hit on Leland McElroy game for you Bryant Westbrook fans. Yeah, that one. That's the most physical football game I've ever seen live. It was incredible. 16-6, Texas with a win. 1995. It's only happened 4 other times that a top 15 matchup occurs. Weird stat. They've all occurred in College Station, and Texas is 4-1 in those games. There's only been one score game That's a 9-7 affair back in the late 50s. But this would only be the 6th top 15 matchup ever, if these two can handle their business. We will see if they can do that. Let me grab a couple chats here. Vivek says, Chad, seems like A&M has a pretty fearsome D-line. 3 first or second rounders? ? Do you think Texas O-line can hold its own? Vivek, that's a huge question for this game. Hold its own? Yes. Texas offensive line can't get sloppy in that ball game. The Aggies will make you pay for that kind of stuff. The key to that game for Texas offensively, for me, it is you've got to find these chunk plays that the Aggie defense has given up. I'm going to keep saying it. 8 touchdowns of 40 yards or more they've given up this year. 5 through the air, 3 on the ground. So as good as they can be at times, they've let stuff go. They've let some big plays happen. But your matchup is key because the Aggie backside of the defense, the DBs are not phenomenal. That front has to be big time. That front has to be great. But can the Texas offensive line hold up? Yes, they can. If they play their best and they're not sloppy, they can hold up. But it's a critical matchup of the game because if Quinn and the receivers can get going for Texas, I think that's bad news for A&M. Jose with an interesting question here. I'll be honest, I haven't read it all through yet. Chad, if you had to trade for a TO coach, for a what? TO coach? For a head coach for a decade, who do you pick? Mac Brown, Sark, or Brian Kelly? A temporary coach, a TO. I'm not sure if there's something specific about a TO coach, just a head coach, I'm assuming. For a decade, like right now, who do I pick? I mean, right now I'd go with Sark, just based on the age of the guys and kind of the mentality of them, if that's what you're asking. Now, if you're saying like the prime of all those guys, I'd still probably lean towards Sark. Since I know I get the offensive play calling at that, if I get the best of Sark as a play caller and all that, I'd kind of lean Sark there. I appreciate the question, though. Appreciate it. All right. Hunter's got a good point here. I cannot stress enough how much the A&M game is going to be about Quinn. Hunter, it is. You're absolutely right. Think about the last time these two teams got together. It was about quarterbacks that night. When's it ever not about quarterbacks? But it was about it that night too. Ryan Tannehill, ups and downs. Case McCoy does enough when it matters and made some big plays. Now, that's a sloppy football game. We are not going to be compared. Hopefully, we will not look back and compare those two games in terms of the football part. But you're right. Quinn is going to be huge, which is why this week is big to continue the momentum that we saw late against Arkansas. Ketch has been bringing up these numbers. Quinn has got to get rid of those 2 quarters in a game where his passer rating just goes to hell. And it's like, well, yeah, Chad, but in the third quarter, right? But at some point, somebody will make him pay for 2 bad quarters, especially if you pack 2 bad quarters and go to College Station with it. Fayetteville was one thing. And they got out of it. And they made plays when they needed to. And they ran the ball when they needed to. And they eventually got there. But that exact formula, it could work in College Station. I wouldn't advise it from the Texas perspective. I would not advise Quinn try that one out. All right, I'll just go in. I'll play 2 really, really bad quarters. And we'll figure it out in the others. Obviously, that is not what's going to work. All right. We'll get a couple other chats in here. Oh, how about this? William, 45-17. I've got the Burnt Orange team winning. LOL. I'm assuming that's for Kentucky, or are you going ahead to College Station? 45-17. I'm not sure. By the way, speaking of College Station, I do have some insider info for you about the Aggie ticket pull situation. I have talked to multiple people. I've even talked to someone who was in the line, and I'll even give up my source. We will get to that. Brian Jones is coming up at about 1:20. I will get you the very latest that I've heard on the ticket pull situation. First off, though, let's talk about pulling something else. How about pulling something off the Rogue Shop website for Christmas? Ketch has been telling you about the Advent calendar. I'm a little worried if Ketch starts combining advent calendar items, because we come on December 2nd, not the 1st, because the 1st is a Sunday. Is he going to take the 1st and 2nd Rogue Shop all at once on one day? I don't know. You're going to want to be with us in December because the shows could get pretty wacky. Rogue Shop has stuff for you, the family, the dogs, the cat. They've got all kinds of stuff. Go check out their website. Whatever it is that you are into, if you are more about the smokables, if you're more about the edibles, if you're more about the gummies, if you're more about a salve that can just help you out and help you not feel so damn old all the time, like all of us do, Rogue Shop's got it for you. Check them out at rogueshop.com for your home for legal CBD, THC, and a lot more. Shout out to Rogue Shop and their great partnership here at Orange Bloods Live. Okay, let's get you the updated information. Here we go. And no, Ketch did not take too much gummy. That's not why he's not here. He's got to have a dental procedure, and he's getting opinions and trying to figure all of that out. By the way, William was picking the Kentucky game, 45-17. That'd be awesome, William. That'd be a huge statement for Texas if they can lay 45 on a team like Kentucky. Kentucky's not awesome, but they've played close games all throughout the season. I'll keep telling y'all, but the South Carolina one we know was a blowout. Florida got them in a blowout. Everything else has been 14 or less. So if they could beat them 45-17, that's a huge statement based on what they have. Somebody says, Chad, hold off on the ticket poll situation until Brian is on. I'd love his reaction to Aggie silliness. You know what, Big Cheddar? We can do the short version then. I just want to let everybody know some of the things that I'm hearing. Okay, so let's start with the person in line. I got a buddy, good friend of mine. Y'all have heard me talk about him. The man, the legend, Rick Sacamano. He's got 2 sons now at A&M. His oldest is a senior, just got his Aggie ring. Shout out to Big Zach. And he was standing in line. He told me that he actually was in line for like a 3-hour shift from 7 to 10 p.m. Their plan was to have somebody come in from like 10 to 1, 10 to 2, in the overnight, and then have some more come in. That shift, the 10 p.m. shift, had to go like till 4 p.m. the next day for some reason. I don't know all those details, but that's kind of what it's been like. They've been in shifts and waiting and stuff. But what I didn't realize about this week in College Station, did y'all know they called 9 ambulances to Kyle Field? 9 of them, because things got so weird. So I read this post from a girl who was in line, and everybody was mashed together so much. Y'all may have seen the videos of like all those feet standing in water, but go back and look at how close they are together. They were all smashed together. And her mom, and she's texting her mom, and her mom says like, well, do you want me to call the police? And her answer was yes. I'm assuming I'm an older person. Most of the time when you do that, I'm assuming the kid's going to go, no, we don't need to call the cops. What are you talking about? She said yes. They had ambulances sent down there, and they're trying to get to them. People were concerned that they couldn't get to people if they needed to. So I am thoroughly confused as to exactly what's gone on here. But I will get to a point here in a second about the modern version of this rivalry, and both sides better figure something out here. So I know exactly where they're standing in line. It's the north side of Kyle Field. They go camp out. They've tried to restrict when they can camp out and all that. And then there's a point where they all get up and they pack up their tents, and then they get in line. But apparently, remember yesterday when somebody put in the chat that they stormed the line? Apparently stormed isn't quite the right verb, but the word that's being used is push. There's been a push in the line. As an Aggie, the only time I ever remember the word push coming up was when Bonfire was being built. They would talk about the last bit of time right before Bonfire was lit as the big push. Got a big push. Bonfire push, right? I've never heard it since then. But there's a physical push apparently that happens. But for some reason, they all end up smashed together in front of these ticket windows. I don't understand. If you're in line, you're in line. Give people space. You're smashed together like it's one of those horrible concert situations. I don't get it. Now, to the frat discussion. Apparently, the frat thing is you send a young member of the frat to stand in line for a senior. or camp out for a senior. And then when it comes time for everybody to wake up, pack up their stuff, and get in the line when the ticket window opens, that person, then you have a whole bunch of your frat brothers show up, and they end up jumping by people in the line that have fallen asleep and haven't gotten up quick enough to get their stuff together. So that's the cutting in the line part that's going on. Back to yesterday, sounds like bad bull to me. Sounds like some bad bull. But here's the other detail that my wife claims she read, naming my sources. My wife says she read a story that fraternity is getting those tickets so that they can sell them to, or maybe it's give them, but get them to their fraternity brothers at Texas, so that you would end up with some Texas frat guys in the student section at Kyle Field amongst the A&M students. I'm sure that won't cause a problem at all, right? Not at all. Not at all. So that's some of what I found out about the ticket thing. We'll get into more of it when Brian jumps on. There was a super chat that came in while I was talking. Oh, it's our man, Jared. $10 super chat. Chad, the bachelor party is arriving in Austin today. Ketch didn't answer my question on Monday. Where are some places our group should check out? P.S. We're not broke, but half of us are married and old. Jared, Ketch was suggesting, you mentioned the other day that y'all hadn't really, a lot of you have basically never been to Austin. Ketch mentioned the Oasis. That's an interesting idea. Hit yourself a good barbecue place. There are plenty of them. I would say the same thing I said the other day. Ketch had an idea. If y'all really want Franklin barbecue, you can do an order. I think you can order it online or do a phone order. Don't stand in that line, though, because you only have a certain amount of time. But those are, I would try to hit a good barbecue place. That's never going to be a bad idea. Hell, I was talking about Pine House Pizza earlier. You could hit Pine House, get you some electric jellyfish, get you some good pizza if you wanted to. Like we said the other day, if you really had time to go all the way out, just to give the sponsors love, you could go all the way out to Hay City Store in Driftwood. Just make sure you have time to do it. You could go to downtown Buda and Taste on Main. Go check out the place there. You could do that. You could go to TCH Social Austin. Just check them out. Go check out their great food and everything. Go have some bad beef bacon. Just some ideas. But y'all have a great time. Whatever it is you decide to do, have fun, have a good time, and check in with us tomorrow when Ketch is back, and we will we'll see how things are going. We'll get you a little progress report. All right, almost to the 1 o'clock spot. Got a couple more chats that we will get to. Here's another idea. If you guys have some time, and again, you got to make the time to carve it out. How about the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room? They'd have you out there. They got tables big enough for 13. Get on out there, Jared. They are open for you today on this Thursday, 12 to 7. So they're already open today. Friday and Saturday, 11 to 7. Sunday, 12 to 5. If you want to close out that bachelor party weekend at the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room, I'm sure they know how to treat a good bachelor party. You guys have some great barbecue out there too. Crimson Creek Smokehouse right there in the food truck next to them. So go check them out if you like. Tell them I sent you out there. Tell them Orange Bloods Live sent you out there. We're in some discussions now to maybe get the show out there one day. I'd love to get Ketch out there to try a Blood Orange Rio Rita or a Blackberry Lemonade or the Dreamsicle, which I love so much. Have yourself a good time. Make sure you do it safely out at the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room. All right. We did have a couple other chats come in. We will maybe revisit some of the stadium stuff. This is from S. Roan first. Buy or sell. We find out Quinn was more injured than they let on. Man, S. Roan, I don't know. I'd love to say sell, but the whole thing with Worthy in his hand, I mean, there's just sometimes coaches and players, they like to keep it from us because they think it shows weakness, but they also think it shows the other team, and the other team will go after it. So I'd love to say sell. I'd love to. I'm hoping that he's feeling more in rhythm than he has. I thought there was good and bad against Arkansas in terms of that, but hopefully, we'll see the good version of Quinn this week against against Kentucky. All right, that one was done. Jeremy jumps in and says, Chad, as great as the Aggie game might be, we need to take one game at a time. Worry about Kentucky now, one game at a time. Jeremy, hallelujah. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And that's all I've been thinking about this week is the pressure on both teams. They've never experienced this. They've never played in the SEC, and therefore they've never been asked to play an SEC team and then immediately turn around and play each other. Sometimes the SEC gives these rivalries love and says, y'all take a week. Texas and OU. Alabama and Auburn sometimes. No, excuse me, not Alabama and Auburn. Alabama, LSU, they do that. The cocktail party this year, I believe they did that. You can see the ones they really, really give that respect to. But interestingly enough, none of the three on Thanksgiving weekend are getting that. Egg Bowl, Iron Bowl, house divided. Everybody's got to play an SEC opponent going in, and that is rare. I told y'all that this week, but check this out. Alabama, last 5 years before Auburn, Chattanooga, Austin Peay, Arkansas, Western Carolina, the Citadel. For Auburn, it's New Mexico State, Western Kentucky, at South Carolina, Samford, and Liberty. By the way, that 1 year where both of them were asked to play an SEC team before the Iron Bowl, you know what happened in the Iron Bowl? A 4 overtime game at Jordan-Hare. Just saying. Probably didn't matter. Probably doesn't mean anything, but you never know. Mississippi State, the last 4 years, has played Southern Miss, East Tennessee State, and Abilene Christian. But now they're being asked to play real SEC teams. Are they real good SEC teams? Not really, and not in some cases. And for Texas and Texas A&M, you're being asked to beat the next to worst team and the third to worst team. But you still got to do it. You still got to get through these games. And of course, for the Aggies, it's a little bit more because it's night game, because it's at Auburn and it's only a 3-point line, 2.5, something like that. It just feels tighter. Kentucky does not feel like near the threat to Texas. But to that chatter, yes, you got to focus in to see if we can get there. Because my God, do I hope we can get there. A top 15 matchup at Kyle Field for all of it, for everything. The one thing I did not hear, I've heard people way back go, what if it was so crazy they both got into Atlanta? And I thought, well, that's silly. That's not happening. This one's cooking up to be winner to Atlanta, loser hoping to get in the playoff. I mean, you can't ask for much more in terms of stakes for this thing, but you have to handle the business first off. It's got to be tough. It's got to be tough. The moment Mike Elko did what he did this week, I felt for him because I thought, yeah, how many Aggies right now? I mean, he's not even an Aggie. He's the coach. It's not like he grew up as an Aggie, but how many Aggies are just thinking about November 30th? I am. I wake up every day thinking about it. Trying to wait, but Auburn's coming up. Yeah, I got Auburn's coming. The other night on The Outsiders, Chance Mock was talking about getting by the Arkansas game to get ready for A&M. And then he stopped himself and went, well, the Kentucky game is between. It's just natural for both sides to be thinking about it because it's just so impactful if we get what we hope we get. Silos, U Texas, forget about Franklin's. Head over to Terry Black's on Barton Springs. It's not a bad idea. There will be a line, but you will get in pretty quick and get some great Texas barbecue. Silos, U Texas, thank you for saying it. Again, not to dog Franklin. I'm just worried about your time, Jared. That's what I'm worried about. Bachelor party does not need to be standing in that line. There's enough good barbecue in Austin. It is not to insult. It's not an insult to Franklin at all. I've had Franklin barbecue, and it's awesome. I had it like later reheated off of an order. Somebody went and got it, and it was incredible. It wasn't worth standing in line for 3 hours for, especially if I'm coming in from out of town. So that's what we're saying here in terms of the barbecue stuff. All right. And you know what, Jose? Great question. And the answer for right now is I don't know for 2 reasons. Well, yeah, 2 reasons. One, I've obviously been doing the show since 12, but the most important reason is they don't let me in that press event. Anwar gets in, Anwar and Ketch, I think maybe even Jason, but for some reason they won't let me watch. So I'm like you guys. I'll go check on the results later on. So here's what I would advise everybody to do. Go to orangebloods.com because it may already be up. In fact, I'm going to double check it right now. I'm going to double check right now and see if Anwar's already gotten it up, because normally it goes up pretty fast in terms of that deal. This is yet another reason why we tell you to head over to orangebloods.com. Thursday morning recruit. Oh, see, the recruiting stuff is up there. I don't see it quite yet. Wait, no, there it is. Yeah, notes from the Zoom call. Yeah, it's already up. Notes from the Zoom call are already up today. I have not had a chance to read through them. Check them out at orangebloods.com. All right, let's see. This one came in earlier. This is the Kenny with the big question. Chad, how do you handle being a fan of the Aggies and covering Texas? I can't imagine having to do a post game after winning or losing in 9 days. That's a good question. So, Kenny, there's two ways, I think, to deal with that. Let's deal with the general part, and then we'll deal with the game. The general part is I've done it for so long, I'm just used to it. I don't know. I've gotten used to it. I enjoy it. I've always thought of myself as kind of an outsider, and I love the idea of being a unique version of me and hopefully being respectful to all of it. It is my favorite college football rivalry, but there was a point in my life when I just stopped doing the disrespect thing. And rivalries wouldn't be rivalries if everybody thought of it like I do, but that's just the way I think of it. I don't do the disrespect thing. I don't do the constant insult thing. I want both teams to be as good as they can be because they've never been that in my life. So that's kind of how I handle it. I just tell it like I see it. I take the jokes, as you can tell. I take the jokes when they're there. I'll defend A&M when I feel like they need to be defended. I'll defend Texas when they need to be defended. I just try to be real. Now, to 9 days from now, I get what you're saying, but, man, I was doing scoreboards on a Longhorn broadcast while A&M was getting beat 77-0. I can vividly remember that. You just do your job. You do your job and you say what's going on. That's it. I've done, I've called women's basketball games where they played each other and had Texas fans worried. Oh my God, what's Chad going to do? How's he going to call the game? I called the game. If the Longhorns did something good, I told you. And if the Aggies did something good, I told you. Obviously, during the game, I wasn't saying, Ags or, whooping or any of that stuff. Keep it professional. Do what you do. In terms of this game, I do have tickets and I'm going to go. So my thought has always been, in terms of like a watch party, I think that would be uncomfortable for a lot of y'all to come to TCH Social Austin. And like either way, the Longhorns have a really good time against the Aggies or a bad time. And then you got to deal with me in the room. Not that I'm annoying, just that I'm there. I would change the way you think about it. So I've thought, I don't know if I need to be there and do that to those folks. But also, I'll admit, maybe I would enjoy it differently. For this particular game, I think it probably ends up being Jeff Ketchum and Jason Sukamel on the post game, and Anwar is going to join from the stadium. They've told me they want me to jump in on the post game show, and I've told Ketch I'll jump in if Texas wins, but I'm assuming you don't want me to jump in if A&M wins. He said, no, jump in wherever you want. I think that could be a little distracting, but it's also pretty unique. So I'll do whatever he needs me to do, but that's kind of how we're planning this particular game. So it's going to be weird. I mean, it is. It's a strange thing, but I've done this a long time. Done it a long time. Done it over 25 years, and I've loved it. I always say it, man. I'm one of the weirdest Aggies you could ever know, but I don't know. It's just natural for me. So I appreciate you asking the question. And yeah, I've done plenty of those post games where it's weird and strange, and based on the result, it can swing you one way or the other. But I think I handled it fairly professionally. We'll see what happens next week if it swings hard the other way. Jose says if A&M loses next week, I think all the post game super chats must go to Chad. I agree with that. Please. If A&M loses this game, I do need all those super chats should go right to me. Absolutely. especially if I end up like, picking the Aggies to win by a whole lot and then it doesn't happen and y'all are just doing it, super chatting at me because of how wrong I was. Please do that. Please. All right, Brian Jones coming up here in just a few minutes, about 10 minutes or so. Back to the whole A&M sort of ticket deal. I was thinking about sort of what these students are dealing with versus what I dealt with, what many of you might have dealt with if you're at Texas. And y'all can tell me your experience. But we got to start thinking about, and hopefully CDC pays attention to what's going on in College Station this week. This is so different than when we were in school. It's so different than when you guys were, even when you're young kids. Think about this comparison. 1995, last time the game was a top 15 game, the Southwest Conference finisher, right? 16-6. I mentioned the hit on Leland McElroy. Ricky is a freshman. That whole game. Remember that game? You know how many people were at that game? 76,221. 76,000. You know how many people were in Kyle Field the last time these two teams played? Just over 88,000. Let's think about that for a second. That means for the LSU game that just happened this season, they put over 20,000 more people into Kyle Field, and they're putting more in for Texas. All-time record for Kyle Field for anything was George Strait, 110,905. All-time record for football, 110,633. Those are the kind of numbers we're talking about. So before I get all high and mighty as an old Aggie and say, what are you kids doing? Why are you in such a crazy line? We just walked up to the window and just got our tickets. What's different now? They issued 30,000 student tickets on Monday. I'm sitting here on Thursday. They issued 30,000 on Monday. And Texas fans, you probably know you have a system set up right now, I believe, where your students who have the sports package or whatever aren't even guaranteed to go to every football game. And I'm sure that causes its own problems. And Texas has has an online system available that I don't believe the Aggies have. So between now and next year, CDC and UT hopefully are thinking through these things. Look, they dealt with it on some level because Georgia came in, and they dealt with it because Bama came in a couple years ago, and they'll deal with some big games. But this thing is massive. Let me give you another comparison. When Texas played Georgia this year, it was the all-time DKR record ever, 105-215. 105-215. Since 2014, the Aggies have had 10 football games with more people in it. 10. And Texas is going to try to go over that number next year, guaranteed. These numbers are crazy. And hopefully they're able to get an infrastructure put together with the tickets so where it's not as crazy. Not that insane. But it does bring you back to, I can't wait for this game. And for all of us that are going to be involved, every fan watching at home, every fan in the stands, everybody at a tailgate, every Longhorn, every Aggie, you can pretend that you know, but you don't. None of us do. None of us do. I was there in 2011. It was crazy. It was wild. Chad, they're going to put over 20,000 more people in there. It was 88,645. We all can agree they're going to put 108,645 into that place. And if I know my people, like I think I know my people, they're going to try to go over George Strait. They're going to try to go 110,906 if they can. That's going to be their goal. Hell, they may be thinking 111th. I don't know. But that's the kind of craziness we're going after. And I cannot wait for it. Look, I've never had this experience going to a football game. I went to the Missouri game in early October, and I could sense what it was going to be like in November, if that makes any sense. I've never had that happen. I've been to earlier games where I was going to go to a bigger one. I've been to like midseason games where LSU was coming at the end of the year. I've been to a midseason game where at the end of the year, it was like, I don't know, Johnny Manziel's last home game of that year or whatever. Huge games, stuff on the line. but it never felt like this past October. There was something in that place, and I just kept thinking, oh, it's going to be wild. And it is. I'm getting chills thinking about it. The place is going to shake. The place is going to vibrate. The place is going to move. And Longhorn fans, your challenge is to go in there and make them nervous quickly. That's the key. Early lead in that game is going to be so important. But we got to get to the most important version of the game so far. Back to that chatter earlier, got to handle business because Kentucky can make it ugly for Texas. And Auburn can absolutely do that to the Aggies. Let's see if these two teams can actually get there. Hooked on the Horns, $5 super chat, says it was funny watching how entertained you were by the Last Stand Hats website last night. Thank you, Hooked. It was awesome. I am an old man who does not do a ton of online shopping. So when you roll the cursor over the hat and it changes colors, that freaks me out. I'm enjoying that. Yeah, if y'all haven't checked out Last Stand Hats, go check them out. It was very good. This one says, super chat, $4.99 from Oscar. It would be disrespectful to beat Georgia's record. I will lose all of the little respect I have for Aggies except you, Chad. You know what, Oscar? It's an interesting way to look at it. I hadn't thought of it that way. I did not even know that concert was coming up until it was basically happening. I didn't even know it was occurring. It is wild. The shots from that place were incredible and how they packed them in there. It does make me wonder if you're going to get that many people in for football and you don't obviously have the field to utilize, where the hell are you going to put them? I don't know. Apparently there's a lot of temporary stuff that's been put in. I've heard there's a lot of kind of standing room. I wasn't there for LSU, but I've heard there's standing room stuff kind of on each end at the mezzanine level. Maybe like a Jerry World situation. If you've been there for games, I think that's kind of how they're going to put it in there. And the other thing to think about, with the game, I keep going back to it. It's sort of in a way what I just spoke to with the seats, 88,000 going up to 208,000. If you're a Longhorn fan and you haven't been to Kyle Field, oh my God. The differences are crazy. The differences in the stadium itself, the way it's set up, outside the stadium, the tailgates. And then next year, when we get to Austin and you bring the Aggies in, same thing. Bevo Boulevard, the tailgating, all the stuff that in 2010 wasn't even close. By the way, 2010 is the last time these two teams played when there was 100,000 people there. That's the other sad part of the rivalry. Right as it was getting to 100,000 and right before A&M was about to redo the stadium and increase this, they stopped playing. Yeah, 100,752 in 2010, the last time it was in Austin. So, and also, I hadn't really thought about it this way. Last two times that these teams have played, the road team won. Texas wins, the Aggies win in Austin. Texas wins in College Station. And now we'll see what happens in 9 days. JD. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, JD. I love you too. You throw in the orange heart. How about that? Very nice. Yeah, it was good. Good stuff. Yeah, there'll be all kinds of incredible, it's going to be wild. And now let's just hope they can get it done. It's still going to be cool no matter what happens this weekend. But if you lose your game this weekend, then it turns into like you can't go to Atlanta, so neither can they game. I don't want that. I want winner goes to Atlanta because come on, that would be absolutely silly if that's what actually happens. If you want to throw in a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. Thank you guys for hanging with me today. A little bit of a strange show. Don't worry, it'll get stranger when Brian Jones jumps in. We are almost to 120. And I'm going to tell you what, Brian has been very dependable on his timing. Let me just double check. Okay. All right, I got you. I think it's going to be he's going to be here in just a minute or so. Let's throw this one in, see what Michael's talking about. Chad, how would you respond to this? A&M has only played two defenses comparable to Texas, Notre Dame and South Carolina. They lost both. Texas will have played four defenses comparable to A&M and gone 3-1. I like our odds. Four defenses that argument, I think, is sound, Michael, in terms of the defenses faced. And you're speaking to ultimately an advantage Texas has in this game, which is, I mean, the offense feels better than what the Aggies are putting out there. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And yeah, you might be right there. Notre Dame's defense, South Carolina's defense definitely was a good front. Just trying to think of the other ones they faced. They both faced Florida. But if you want to do the comp there, the Aggies had kind of more of a sluggish win against Florida, and Florida was playing two different quarterbacks trying to figure it out. And then can you really judge anything because Texas then plays Florida with the other quarterback? So that's not a good comparison. But yeah, I mean, I agree with your last sentence. I like our odds. Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think it's a hell of a close game. And because of the Le'Veon Moss injury, I said it right after it happened. It's the kind of thing that would make me lean towards picking Texas in a close game. We'll see where we get to next week. But, back to the whole thing about how do I do what I do and cover this and be, and I just tell you what I see. And plenty of times over the years, I would have told you. And all these years they didn't play, every year I think to myself, well, who would I pick in a game? Over this last period, there have been times where I would have picked the Aggies, and there have been times I would have picked Texas. So we'll see what I do next week. But I like that comment on the defenses. I don't think that is wrong. ATX Bates says, F that. Stadiums are built for football and specifically for this rivalry. The fact that George holds the record is disrespectful. Bates says it's the king who's being disrespectful to A&M. How about that? By the way, just in case you're interested, all-time record for college football was the one they did at the racetrack with, I think it was Tennessee, Virginia Tech in Bristol. That was 156. Largest on campus, 115-109. They packed over 115 into the big house for Michigan Notre Dame at one point. So if the Aggies really want to go chasing a crowd, that's how they could do it. But again, George was 110-905. If I know my people, like I think I know my people, somebody in a meeting went, hey, what if we try to get more than we did for George? Well, yeah, but we don't have the field. What if we try to get more than we had for George? I think that's what they're going to do. I think that's what it's going to be. All right. It is just about that time. Each and every week he joins us. Every once in a while, Jeff Ketchum actually speaks to him. But this week, it will not be that situation.
I can't hear you.
What happened? Uh-oh.
I can't hear you.
Can't hear me. Can't hear me. Technical issues with Brian Jones. Here we go. We'll take him off the screen. Brian, you do your tech work. Do your tech work until you can hear me. I'm going to have Brian up. Brian's going to give me the thumbs up when he can hear me. Right now, I'm just going to drink some water. Brian is not hearing me. It will be a weird interview if Brian can't hear me at all. That would be bad. Right. So he's now screaming, I can't hear you at me, which is not going to help. That is not going to help. It's been a long time since we had Brian Jones technical issues too. I feel like I've missed it. Okay, no, wait, now what was that? Did he? Oh no, he's just scratching his face now. That's not anything. I think Brian's also talking to himself at this point to try to figure out what's going on. Let's see. Let's check.
I'm going to go back and come back.
Go back.
I still can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Okay, I can hear you. You can't hear me. You go out and you come back in. There you go. Brian Jones going to go back out and come back in. Let's see if it works. Everybody cross your fingers for Brian Jones. Y'all remember the early days? If you've been with us the whole time, we had ones where Brian was like, it was like half of Brian's head for a whole interview. And then it was like part of his body. And then we'd see the room. Remember when it looked like it was like the camera was on his ceiling fan and it looked like the fly was there? Like we had that view. Brian is trying to go back in. He's still not hearing me. Oh, it's just shame. He's still not hearing me. Yeah. I could give him advice right now, but he can't hear me to hear the advice. So that's our whole problem is he can't hear me. That'd be good. I could just, I think he just swore and left. I'm so sorry y'all can't see. everything that I should just put it up on the screen every time the whole time he's there. That way it'll just entertain all of you and not just me. That's probably what I should do. If he comes back on, I will do that. Also, we should tell you, for you Brian Jones fans, we've extended an invitation for Brian to join the Outsiders next week during A&M week to discuss that game. Brian's played in the game. If I'm not mistaken, Brian knows what it's like to lose and win that game. So we'll get his thoughts. Hopefully, imagine Brian Jones on an Outsiders at night, feeling good, consuming whatever he's consuming. All right. At this point, Brian Jones just might have given up. Let me see. Let me check my phone. Sometimes Brian might have just said, you know what? Screw this handsome man. No, I didn't get that one yet. I think he's still trying. Brian, if you can hear me, maybe Brian turns on the YouTube thing. Brian, you need to check the audio settings, make sure it's coming in or on the speaker. I heard Brian perfectly. Brian, I heard you. The video looked great. You looked handsome as hell. While we're waiting for Brian, let me reiterate that we are going to be at TCH Social Austin on Saturday. 1:30 is when those beer specials start. $1 draft, $2 jellyfish. And if I haven't mentioned it in a while, those $1 drafts are great too. Stella and Love Street are the two that I've gone with. They've got other great beers that you can do for just $1. So come check that out. This is the big, beautiful screen. You got the Bad Beat Bacon down there in the lower right. If you haven't had that, trust us. It is amazing if you are into bacon. And who isn't? 183 and Anderson Mill. Come on out and see us. All right, I heard a beep. I see him. Oh, I think I got an A-OK. Hang on, let's see. Do you hear me, Brian Jones?
Finally, yes.
Look at you.
I mean, it wouldn't be a show without me having technical difficulties, right?
Hey, I know. I heard a rumor that at CBS they call you the technical master. That's what they say.
At CBS, I always get the ghetto IFB and the ghetto camera and every damn thing.
Damn.
And I love it.
Mm-hmm. And they probably say to you, if you'd stop bitching about getting it, we might get you a better one. That's probably what they tell you. All right, Brian, I thought this week, since Jeff Ketchum is dealing with his dental situation, he's dealing with issues and he's not here, I thought we would start out with buy or sell for you. Are you up for it?
I am up for it, but first, this bacon spot you were just discussing, what's the name?
Okay, it's called TCH Social Austin. This is a Texas Card House. It's right up there, 183 Anderson Mill, right next to the aquarium. And it basically has like a sports book in Vegas kind of feel to it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, big ass. Yeah, it's really cool. So I'll throw this picture up for you one more time so you can see it. So
they got big ass screens.
Big ass screen. See that one right in the middle, the big ass screen in the middle. Brian, we got the 16x1 in the middle and 4 4x1s on the outside.
Okay, and I see some biscuits and gravy or chicken fried steak or something.
You had it right the first time. That's biscuits and gravy because they do breakfast all day. And that's a little Texas tea next to it. And then the other picture is a grilled chicken sandwich. And the Bad Beat Bacon is kind of in the background there in that beautiful copper cup. It's fantastic.
And they put my bacon in a cup. Come on. You can't beat that. TCH Social, I'm coming to see you as soon as I get some free time.
There it is. You know what they say about bacon, Brian? Fancier in a cup. It's fancy. It is good. I'm gonna go.
Say about pork from the rooter to the tutor.
That is it.
Even eat the oink.
Eat everything you can.
We have fried an oink on your ass.
That is it. The chicken's
involved. All right, buy and sell. What we buying? What we selling?
We are buying and selling, Brian. I want to find out as much as I can from you about college football. So let's start here. Buy or sell. Number one, Texas beats Kentucky and covers 20.5.
No. Hell no. Kentucky's only giving up 19 points a game, man. This defense is good. They held Ole Miss to 17 in Oxford. Mm-hmm. They held Georgia to 13. Nah, you ain't beating them by 20. I'd be surprised if you beat them by 20. You'd have to get some pick sixes, and that's not out of the realm because the offense is in last in scoring. Kentucky's offense is last in the conference. So that's not out of the realm. And Vandegrift, whew, man, that dude, he's about a 55, 57% passer. He overshoot. He might be the only one that overshoots on the deep throws than us, more than us. I mean, I'm watching the game, say like, damn, dude, you wide open. How you keep missing them? So nah, they won't cover that. So I'm gonna say no.
Okay, so give me a sense of the game you think we're looking at. Are you thinking it's like 17-10? I mean, are they going to have to win a one-score game here or what?
They might. This defense, once again, is for real. Tennessee scored 28 on them, but the last touchdown was late in the game. It was pretty much over. The defense will come to play. They got some big boys up front, 0, 9. They can handle their own up front. Their backers, they flow well. So I'd be surprised if Texas would beat them by 3 touchdowns. That's the best part of this team is the defense. Offense, suspect, but defensively, they're good.
But you got Texas winning.
I have Texas winning, but they tripping. Quit tripping, man. That game last week should have been 21-0 in the first quarter. Once again, missing the deep throws. And we've been seeing this for 3 years from our starting quarterback. I don't get it. And then stepping into running into sacks. Like, you got to have – there's a feel for the position. And there was a feel for playing middle backer. I know when stuff is around me, I don't have to look and see it. I can feel it. And there are things that materialize on certain plays, and you know where guys are going to be because you have a football instinct, football IQ about what's going on, and you diagnose the play. Okay, this particular play, this guy's probably going to be here. This guy's going to be here. There might be somebody around my feet. There are things that happen that you have to have a feel for, especially at quarterback. When to climb the pocket, when to run, get outside the pocket. And I'm just not seeing that.
So, Brian, before we leave the Texas discussion, tell me how much credit you give the team for finishing that game the way they did. Defense makes a stop. Offense makes the drive that makes it 10 points. Defense makes another big play. And when they had to, they shut down 6:55 off that clock. They got a rhythm going. They ran the ball. Quinn stuck his head in there for that 4th and 1 play, and that looked like it meant a lot to him. So how much credit do you give him for that ending, considering what you were just talking about with the start?
I give them a ton of credit. You find a way to win, and they needed to close them out. And we discussed the last time I was on, you have to run the ball when you need to run the ball. And they were able to run the ball when they needed to run the ball. But that being said, that offensive line is still problematic. There's still some things going on there that it's bewildering to me. 78, I don't know what the hell is going on. He's just giving money away, being beaten every week. The backs, good thing for them, they got some moves. They got some wiggle, so they can be their own blockers, and they're having to be a lot more than they should, especially when you get to the line of scrimmage. At second level, that's understood. Shake some guys, but having to do it as soon as you get the ball, that shouldn't occur now with this O-line. Oh, hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Somebody at the door. Hang on. Somebody's at the door for Brian Jones. 1 second. We'll take him off the screen for a second. Apparently, there's a delivery of some sort. We will get to the next buy or sell as soon as Brian gets done with his delivery. A reminder: football with friends tonight at 6, old fashioned tomorrow at 9. And to that question earlier, if you want the notes from Sark's press conference, I'll check them out as soon as the show's done. It's at orangebloods.com right now. And come see us at TCH Social Austin. Brian said he was interested in the Bad Beat Bacon. Y'all come on out. We'll get the post-game show going at the 2-minute warning. We'll see if it's a game that's decided like we've had. And again, 2-minute warning. We'll start the post-game show from TCH Social Austin. Did we get the delivery?
Life happens, man. Yeah, that was the cleaners dropping off some threads. My bad.
That's
anyway,
okay.
As I was saying,
yes, sir. You were talking Texas O-line.
Give them credit for closing that ball game out, and the zone read there at the end. brilliant call. You wouldn't suspect them to run that with Quinn. They do, and you're right. He that got personal to him apparently. But
well, and Brian,
anytime you play Arkansas, it's personal.
Well, Brian, you also know if you've been dealing with a little something, getting that hit, maybe it matters. Like I just thought after that play, I'm like, I agree with you. Interesting play call because nobody wearing Arkansas colors thought that was coming. But also the way Quinn jumps up and he's excited about it. And he and Sark kind of had a moment of like, oh yeah, and it worked out. But as a football player, like taking that hit and knowing you can take the hit, maybe, I don't know, maybe that was Quinn trying to be all the way back from the injury. I'm trying to find the best possible version of it.
I have no idea. And far be it for us to speculate on what he was feeling. Maybe he was just excited and exuberant in the moment because he knew that was the death knell for Arkansas. So great drive, great answer to go up 10 again after Arkansas made it a lot closer than it should have been. And AC Alfred Collins playing his ass off these last few ball games, and he needs to, because those other D tackles, I'm sorry. I just don't get this stance they're in. I don't like it. They don't fire off the ball. If they're slanting, they're not getting up the field. And yes, we're spoiled because of what we've had the last couple of years. T'Vondre Sweat, Byron Murphy II. I get that. Yes, spoiled. But just technique-wise, they're in a resting stance. Watch those guys, 15 and 89. It's like they're taking a dump. How you gonna fire off the ball, man, if you squatting like you about to, drop trowel? You're not. It's clearly seen on the film. They're not firing off.
Brian, you think it's a humidity thing? They were playing where there's less humidity. You think that's what it is? It's a dry heat stance? I have no idea.
It's dry something stance. It's dry as far as coming off and hitting somebody in the mouth.
What do you think?
Definitely dry.
What do you think about these DBs right now? Jahdae Barron had a hell of a game, put a stat up in about every way you can. They're looking really good right now.
They look great, and I've been singing their praises all season long. That's the best part of the defense. That and those edge guys. The Moore kid is coming on. Levin, Collins, he's looked good. Backers Hill does his thing. 18, he's still young, but he's active, gets in the way. But that secondary, they've been balling. They've definitely elevated their play after last season. So, Barron was phenomenal. They do an excellent job. We'll see. They should come up with a couple picks in this ball game because I'm telling you, Vandegrift, he's not great. He's really suspect. And that offense, they don't score a lot of points. He's got 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions on the season. But, you're right to praise this secondary, man. They play damn good.
All right, let's get on with buy or sell, and we're going to the Big Ten on this one, Brian. Buy or sell number 2. If Indiana gets beat by 21 or more in Columbus, their CFP hopes are gone.
Oh, hell yeah. Stick a fork in it. They're done. And I said this last Saturday on our show, the one thing they do not want to hear following that game is overrated. You know how crowds can start singing that? Yep. That's the last thing they want to hear is overrated. So, and I don't expect that. Matter of fact, I think they can win the ball game. I picked them to win.
Okay.
When you turn on the film, and we had them on our air the last time they played versus Michigan, and that game in Northwestern is the only 2 games where they haven't just really thumped their opponents. So people are not believing in them because of the strength of schedule. Same strength of schedule Michigan had a season ago, but we know it's Michigan. And Michigan has a track record. They have a history. Indiana has a history, but it's bad. So I get it. I understand why people they're not real. And it took me a minute to come around to them and believe in it. But you turn on the film, things just jump out at you, man. And it's the physicality on the offensive line. It's the physicality with which the running backs run. It's the physicality with which the receivers block downfield. Defense, same thing. Those cats on the defensive side, number 6, Mikhail, I'm forgetting his last name. They hit you in the mouth, man. They are some damn good football players. Safety, number 1, come downhill, will smack you. This will be a comparable matchup from a physicality standpoint. The disparity may be in the talent. We know Ohio State they're chock full of talent. Can Indiana hang with that talent? That's going to be the key. Physicality, I'm not worried about that. Overcome adversity, they showed that versus Michigan last time they played. And so I think it's going to be a hell of a ball game. Definitely looking forward to it. I think they can hang. But, if they lose by 21, it's over. You can stick it. People are going to say overrated, same old Indiana. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of the Big Ten, CBS 2:30 game this week is Penn State trying to handle their business on the road at Minnesota. Also, the Boise game is on CBS Sports Network, middle of the day. They're at Wyoming, actually middle of the day, 6 o'clock Central Time kick. And if you want a late CBS Sports Network, stay up for Colorado State and Fresno State because you know you want to.
Colorado State's undefeated in conference.
No, they're going to go play Boise, right?
No, Colorado State's playing Fresno.
No, I'm saying they're the one Boise would play in that title game.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And if you haven't seen Genty, watch him. That guy is a freak. He's incredible. Yeah. He does a lot of it on his own. Aaron Taylor came up with a great stat. I may have shared it previously. If you just took his yardage after contact, after someone lays hands on him, he would still be the third or fourth rusher in the nation. That's after awesome. Contact. Yeah. Well, amazing.
I had a couple questions I want to ask you about the kind of the rankings and stuff, and this is the perfect spot for it. We watched Boise jump the Big 12, the prospective Big 12 champ this week for that bye, the bye. Do you think Boise's going to hold on to that bye if they win out? Or do you think the Big 12 champ's going to jump back over them?
That is a great question. I would think the Big 12 champ would probably jump over them, especially if it's Colorado, the way they're rolling now. Kansas won't be easy. I picked Kansas to beat BYU last week.
So you think if Colorado's able to win that conference, you think the committee would look past the Nebraska loss and have them jump over Boise?
Yes, I do. Okay. I think that because you can clearly tell the committee, we're having the same arguments we had when it was just a 14 tournament. Now it's 12. But it's going to be strength of schedule. It's going to be brand names. And Alabama, they beat up on their annual bye or homecoming, whatever the hell they call Mercer. And they jumped 3 spots. Yeah. Really? 3?
Hey, Brian, I don't know if you saw it. They really took it to Mercer now. And they're 9-1. I don't know what you're talking about, Brian. That's a 9-1 football team.
Yeah. Okay. In the Pooh Butt League. Right. Yeah.
I mean, they're playing pigs and horses, but it's still 9-1.
I hear you, but it's because of the Bama on their jerseys. So, I can see Big 12 jumping them, especially this Colorado story. Arizona State, as you know, they're in it now, right in the thick of it after winning in Little Manhattan. So it's going to be interesting how this thing shakes out. BYU still controls their own destiny. I think they lose again to Arizona State. And it was interesting. I don't know if you saw these comments. Post-game, their quarterback, Retzlaff, one of the defensive ends, I think it was a cornerback, all 3 admitted that last week they weren't as focused in practice heading into the into the Kansas game.
Damn.
Who the hell says that?
Why would you say that out loud?
Yes, that's my point, you big dummy. Lamont Sanford, what is wrong with you? You don't say that out loud.
That's bad. Yeah, that is bad. I see this super chat, Mark, and we will get Brian. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's just hit this one. Come on, Mark. $5 super chat. BJ, if you were 20 years old and on the roster next weekend, would you rather get a pick 6 or line up at fullback and truck an Aggie for a 5-yard touchdown run?
Shit, I'd rather truck an Aggie as a backer, period. This is just me truck one of them guys. I'd rather get a slobber knocker, hit them so hard that slobber and snot fly out of their helmet. Yeah, that's what you want. I mean, as a defensive guy, pick six would be nice, but I know we don't want to jump forward like Mike Elko did.
The man's excited, Brian. The man's excited.
He better be worried about Jarquez Hunter and that defensive line of Auburn, because that's about all they have going for them. Yeah, because Hunter can run. They put 320 out. It was 326 they rushed for against Kentucky. So I'm
Well,
singing the defense's praises, and they ran right through them.
Hey, well, that gets us right to buy or sell number 3, Brian. So give me your thoughts. A&M handles their business and beats Auburn. Buy or sell?
Buy. They'll beat them.
Okay.
They should beat Auburn. Auburn will play tough at home, but they're just one dimensional. It's all Hunter. It's the running game. It's the running quarterbacks. That's it. They had a passing game.
But what are the Aggies?
The Aggies can pass. They can run. They have a balanced attack with Reed.
Okay. More balanced than Auburn.
Yes, definitely more balanced than Auburn. Now, we'll see how your guys play up front. I haven't been ecstatic about your backers. York, I think he's regressed somewhat in his second year.
I agree with you. Yeah, I see it too.
Okay, so we'll see what they bring to bear. As I just mentioned, 326 rushing versus Kentucky's front, and of course A&M comes in with a pretty damn good D line, but they better come ready with the chin straps buckled tight, because Auburn wants to run downhill, and they were one-dimensional last year, and they almost knocked off Bama. Should have won that game. Fourth in a mill row. Definitely should have gotten them. But I think the Aggies will win, and they'll be focused. And then it's the big one.
Mercy.
That's going to be – are you going to the game?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Dude, I can only imagine, and you know this, and I've said it on this show, I'm sure, many times. That joint is loud. And when we were there, it was 80-something thousand. Now it's 100-something thousand. And
I was going to say, Brian, I looked it up. Correct me if I'm wrong. You played in that rivalry in 89 and 90, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So you would have done 89 in College Station, 90 in Austin. When y'all went to College Station, there were just over 76,000 people there.
That's it?
Yes. 76. The last Southwest Conference game was 76-21 in 1995. The last time it was a top 15 matchup.
Damn, 76,000 people made that much noise.
Yes. Brian, the last time they played the Justin Tucker kick, it was at 88. They're going to put over 20,000 more than that night into that stadium next Saturday.
All you heard, I'd never experienced that level of noise in my life. Even when we knocked off Houston my senior year.
Oh, yeah,
it was loud at DKR. That was loud, but I had never, ever experienced that decibel level.
Right.
It was,
and
I'm standing next to my guy. I don't know what the hell he's saying. That's loud. That was 76. That's it. So I've been lying. I've been saying, man, there was 84,000 in there, and it was still the loudest place, and I was lying. Damn.
76,000. And then in 90, the big win in Austin, the close one for you guys, 28-27, the classic, that was a little over 82,000 people in Austin. And it's just continued to go up and up and up, and now it's going to be to that level. Just real quick, Brian, from that point to the end of your NFL career, did anything match Kyle Field? Like, you've talked about how great Kansas City's crowd was. Were they louder than that, though?
Buffalo, the Bills.
Really?
It was Rich Stadium then.
That was louder than Kyle Field.
No. Kyle Field still – it's Kyle Field, then there's Rich Stadium, whatever it's called now. Yeah. Kyle Field's still number one, the loudest. I've never that was just it's like as if it happened yesterday. That's how entrenched that experience was, and of course the pregame fight and all that. But yeah, I mean, that was a crazy game, man. We played almost well enough to win, but of course lost and got them the next year. But yeah, nothing comes close. Okay. Giant Stadium a couple times playing the Giants, they got loud, but it would be College Station and Buffalo.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to Brian more about that game next week. Let's all just hope. For those of us hoping it can be the best show possible, let's just hope these two teams handle their business this week. Brian, couple more. I want to get another thought on Texas. But before we do that, a couple off the football topic. Buy or sell number 4. You will see Gladiator 2 and Wicked in the theater.
You talking to me?
I'm talking to you. I know you love movies. Let's go.
I guess Denzel is Caesar, right?
Denzel is in Gladiator 2, and I hear he's awesome.
Well, he's awesome in everything.
Yeah.
So I have to. I would probably see that. Now this Wicked phenomenon, not so much. And some of the young cats in the studio were discussing this the other night. I'm not so sure about Wicked, but Gladiator 2, yeah.
Okay. What if I could make Denzel play the Arrivo character, and you had Ariana Grande and Denzel singing to each other? Would you go see it then?
So Wicked is a musical?
That's correct.
Nah, I ain't gonna see that.
Not a musical guy.
No. Sung, but I ain't gonna see that. Now, Wicked, I understand, is the prequel to The Wizard of Oz or something of that sort.
Yeah, kind of a.
I thought someone explained.
Yeah, kind of. I think that's a good way to explain. I'll be honest with you, Brian. I've never seen a production of it. I don't know the full story all the way through, but yes, I think it's kind of trying to help explain sort of how does the Wicked Witch become the Wicked Witch, and how does Glinda become Glinda, and all that stuff. Yes.
And I understand the play that's on Broadway currently, there are 2 parts to it, but only one part is being depicted in the movie.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Look at you.
So, no. I was listening to the conversation in the studio the other day, and that's the only reason I'm as knowledgeable as I am.
Okay.
But so no, Wicked, probably not. Gladiator 2, yeah. I just don't. How do you match the original though?
I know, it was so good. It was so good. I stayed away from Gladiator because I thought, oh, that's just going to be some meathead action movie. I'll get to it eventually. And then I saw it, and I'm like, oh my God. What a movie. I'm hoping.
Oh, you've already seen
the first one. No, I'm talking about the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The first one. Once I just kind of saw it a little later than some people did. I didn't see it right when it came out. It's a monster good movie. So I'm hoping to go see it at some point. And I probably should go see it in the theater because it's going to be badass in a theater. We'll see.
I probably will go see it. Yeah, I haven't been to movies in a minute, so
yeah. Football season always tough to find time. Finally, Brian, I'm just going to make you feel old because I feel old, and I have to do it to you too. Goldie Hawn is 79 years old today. Wildcats, top 5 football movie ever. Buy or sell?
Ooh, that's top 5. Let's see.
Because for me, this is a 5. I'm a huge Wildcats fan. I'm putting it in the top 5. Do you buy or sell?
Let's see. Longest Yard, the original, with Burt Reynolds.
You say that's better.
North Dallas 40.
It's a classic.
Any Given Sunday.
No, Any Given Sunday. Okay.
The Last Hero. Wasn't that with Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans?
The Last Boy Scout?
Oh, yeah, him too.
Now I'm glad I threw this in, because if you're going to bring up Last Boy Scout within your first 5 movies mentioned, that's why you and I get along. That is a brilliant choice. I love that movie.
Okay, and let's see. Oh, The Program. Come on.
And the program is nice.
I can spell C-D-S-H-U A-D-I-D. Yes.
Hey, you didn't even say Rudy. Are you a Rudy fan or not?
Hell no, I ain't watched no damn Rudy.
No Rudy?
I still haven't seen Rudy. What was the movie with radio? That was Denzel.
What? Oh, you mean now there was a movie called Radio. You're talking about Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans.
That's a
great
that
Denzel? That was Denzel. Yeah.
That's a great movie. I'd put that.
So maybe I'll take the last Boy Scout out, and I'll put
how dare you?
The Titans.
No, don't do that. That's Oscar worthy. That's Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans at their finest. Are you kidding me? The Last Boy. I'm telling you what, Brian. They always talk about the first scene of Saving Private Ryan, and I always tell them, you know what? Screw that. How about the first scene of The Last Boy Scout? You will never forget the first 10 minutes of The Last Boy Scout as long as you live.
Dude,
ever.
You might be right.
Happy birthday.
You might be correct. Yes. Because it just
good.
hit you in the face.
Boom. I mean, you talk about welcome to a movie. Holy smoke. And the other thing, Brian, about that one, it's a weird thing to say about a movie. The beginning sequence of The Last Boy Scout. It is my favorite scene of any movie where it's supposed to be raining a lot. because it rains
Yep.
hard.
Yeah.
It's just like the worst version of like a game you saw at Tallahassee where you're like, is Bobby Bowden gonna float away today?
Yeah.
What the hell? That's my favorite like rain scene of any movie. It rained so damn hard in that movie. Bravo to the creators of The Last Boy Scout. I'm meant to go watch that.
I just see over here we forgot about our boy Cuba Gooding Jr. in what was that one?
And that's radio.
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
Jerry Maguire.
Yes, and he was in radio. He was also in Jerry Maguire. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And Jerry Maguire that counts as a football movie, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Show
me the money.
Show me the money. I love black people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Brian, I want to ask you another question about Texas before I let you go, because the fear that is kind of going through the fan base is real simple. It is that they handle their business this week, the Aggies handle their business, and the Aggies beat Texas close in College Station, and Texas is 10-2. Texas fans fear that might slip them out of the playoff. Give me your thought about a 10-2 Texas team and how they would stack up in your mind.
Man, yeah, that's an interesting scenario. We'd have to see what other chips fall. I think you'd have to wait and see who else succumbs if that was to happen. And obviously, I'm hoping that situation doesn't materialize. But yeah, you would have a whole host of 2-loss SEC teams. Georgia would get in if Texas has 2 because they have the head-to-head versus them. I'm going to say they still get in. Somehow, someone's going to get hosed, and they'll be this year's Florida State and allow Texas in.
Right, because if we walk through the SEC teams, that assumption would mean that Bama probably goes to Atlanta. Let's say they would go and win. They get the bye. You're saying Georgia would still get in. I'd probably agree with you.
Yep.
Would Ole Miss still be in?
The fact that they beat Georgia, how could you keep them out? Yeah.
Right? And then it really becomes like a Texas, Tennessee, A&M discussion.
Texas, right. I think Texas, if A&M were to win, and they better not, if they were to beat Texas, Tennessee would be out. They'd be out. And both lost to Georgia, and Tennessee's other loss was to Arkansas. So you have common opponents. So Tennessee would be out. That other UT, get the fuck out.
You're taking the UT, huh? You want you're taking the logo?
I'm taking the real UT, baby.
You're taking the logo.
Yeah.
Hey,
Tennessee would be out.
What kind of chances you give Florida upsetting Ole Miss this week?
Anything can happen. They're playing better, especially at home. But you have Ole Miss has a quarterback that won't wilt under pressure, such as Garrett Nussmeier last week or in any game here lately. And they have a defense that is for real.
Brian, don't say mean things about Nussmeier. He was so nice to my Aggies. That is a nice young man.
I tried not to because I played with his father. His father and I were teammates with the Saints, so I love me some Doug. But damn, your kid been sneaking it up, homie.
He throws catchable balls if you're a defensive back. I got to tell you.
Yes, he does. So they'll be stout, but this defense for Ole Miss is for real. Yeah. They are damn good. So and of course they got one of your former guys over there, and they have a guy that played for Florida last year, Prince Human something.
Human Mealan. Brian, that's a Manor kid. He's from Manor.
He's from Manor? And he went to Florida?
Kids
now he's at Ole Miss?
Yeah, exactly.
Bastard!
The Human Mealan family. Shout out to the Mustangs.
I'm glad I can't say his name then.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. Got away.
How you say it? Human who?
Human Mealan is the way I've heard it said.
Uma Thurman?
Princely Human Mealan. Yes.
That's a cool name, Princely. What's up, Princely?
Princely Uma Thurman.
Princely Akeem.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I think Ole Miss will handle them. They're coming off a bye. Okay. Of course, big win versus Georgia. They won't lay an egg. And Lagway's good though. He's the future of Florida. And give Napier credit. He hadn't lost that locker room.
That's true. Yeah, they feel like they're trying to put it back together, whatever it is,
Yep.
put a discussion together moving forward. That's an 11 a.m. kick. Do not forget about Ole Miss and Florida. We'll see if Lane's group can get out of there. Let's see. We did that one. Did a nice super chat from Mark earlier about what Brian would want to have happen in the A&M game. We'll talk to Brian next week about the A&M game. Also, Brian, I told the people that you have been officially invited by the Outsiders crew. You've been invited by Bo Edge and Chance Mock and Jason Dick and all the Outsider crowd to come on with us next week at night. We get together. We allow drinking. You could have a good old time. And,
You
really
do a night show?
What's that?
You do a night show?
I do a night show. And it'd be a chance for you, Brian, to loosen up because you're always so nervous when you're on with us in the middle of the day. Like you could really loosen up.
I'm a little rigid during the day. I tend to loose up after a few party favors. I might let my hair down, let my afro down, and chill out and just be a real person. I'm a work in progress.
Every week when you're done, Brian, the chat just fills up with stuck-up chats. What a stuck-up, nervous guy. Will you get him to calm down? They say it every week.
That's what happens when you grow up in the confines of the ghetto. You kind of antisocial and shy and introvert. That's just me. It's just a product of my environment. Yeah.
Exactly. By the way, real quick, before I let you go, speaking of football movies, I finally checked The Water Boy off my list this week.
Oh. You had not seen The Water Boy?
I had not seen Bobby Boucher. The fans got mad at me, so I watched Bobby Boucher all the way through.
You have to watch The Water Boy. That shit is funny as hell.
That's
saying that is the football equivalent of not seeing Friday.
Oh, wow. You put it up in that kind of regard, huh?
It's hilarious. Yes.
Okay. Look at that. You know what? You might be the first person on earth that has ever compared The Water Boy to Friday.
No, it's the football comedy version of Friday. That's what I'm saying.
I think I know how Adam Sandler would take that compliment. I'm not sure how Chris Tucker would take that compliment.
I'm going to get you so high, you're going to be able to play football.
Oh, my God. That's fantastic.
You're going to think you're running fast, but you're not.
Another reminder, Penn State and Minnesota is your CBS 230 this week. Brian and the crew will be talking about it. Brian, we will talk to you next week, hopefully on the Outsiders. And also, I'll be in touch. We may need to rearrange next week because we won't have a show on Thanksgiving. So maybe we could hit you up like Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night. I'll check in with you.
Let's check in, homie.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good weekend, man.
You got it, baby.
Hook 'em. There it is. I was going to say, you got to give them the hook 'em. It's a new thing. It's like the coaches. You got to say it on the way out. You got to have your slogan on the way out. Otherwise, they will not consider it real. Thanks to Brian Jones for jumping in. Some interesting thoughts there. He thinks Indiana is beating Ohio State. Wouldn't that confuse some things for people? He thinks the Aggies are getting through Auburn this week. But it sounds like he thinks Longhorns and Kentucky's going to be close. We will see. I got a weird feeling when I watch the other guys at OB picking a non-cover and I'm picking a cover. It makes me a little nervous for Texas, but I'm going to stick with the 27-6. I think that is where this thing is headed. All right, let me just double check here for Super Chats. I think we got the ones for Brian. I appreciate you guys for throwing that in. Yeah, we'll get to more discussion with Brian on Texas A&M. He told you about how loud Kyle Field was back then, and it was only 76,000 people, and then they got the big win in 1990. We'll get all that discussion to him, and it sounds like we're going to make Tuesday night work with the Outsiders. We'll probably just try to double up next Tuesday, maybe have Brian in the afternoon and Brian at night. That's probably going to be the best way to deal with it. But we'll have shows. The plan is all next week for Thanksgiving week. Just Thursday, we wouldn't have a show. But everything else, I think we're going to try to do a show, including that Friday right before the game, right before I head over to the College Station area. I cannot wait for that. This is interesting. Ole Miss and Florida going to be special. JD Hack. I don't know. I'm watching it. I'm paying attention. Lane's crew proved something to me by beating Georgia, but It's the SEC. You got to keep doing it again. When Kirby Smart says humility is a week away, another way to say that is like it doesn't stop. And the only way you can get the SEC to stop is either a bye week or schedule garbage. That's about it. That's what the Mercer and Western Carolina games are for those teams, just trying to take a breath. But nobody gets to take a breath this week. A&M and Texas both having to play somebody. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Ole Miss goes to Florida. Mississippi State hosting Missouri. Bama's got to deal with OU and Norman. Whatever that means, it's tougher than Chattanooga, I think. OU fans, what's up? And Auburn obviously has to take on the toughest of all those. A&M, Auburn's got to deal. I mean, that's one thing I have not looked up, and I won't. But when has Auburn ever had to host a top 15 opponent right before the Iron Bowl? That one's crazy. Iron Bowl, I think, is 2:30 on that on November 30th. All right, we've gotten a lot out of this show. A little over 2 hours. I thank y'all for being with me today. Let's get ready to close the doors, but let's remind you about a couple of things. First off, this Friday, that would be tomorrow as I'm sitting here. Check out the Football with Friends guys out at Texas Beef Traders. Find yourself something that you love as much as Alex Dunlap loves Texas Beef Traders. Go see them from 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow. You can check out their show at 6 o'clock tonight. They'll give you even more details. And then make your plans to come see us at TCH Social Austin for Texas and Kentucky. The 11 o'clock games will already be rolling. We'll fire up Texas and Kentucky on that big old screen at 2:30. A&M Auburn, if you want to just hang out. That's what I'll be doing, hanging out and seeing if the Aggies can handle their business. Yeah, just hang with us. $1 draft beer starts at 1:30. The $2 jellyfish starts at the same time, and the specials go through an hour after the game is over. And remember, we fire up the post-game show at the 2-minute warning. Let's show you that beautiful screen. You can come get some of this great food. By the way, I haven't mentioned it this week very much, if at all. But to the left of that sandwich is a cup of the waffle sweet potato fries. And if you're into such things, damn. Grab one of them bad boys, drag it through some ketchup. It will not disappoint. It will not disappoint. Great food and a good time at TCH Social Austin. We can guarantee the good food. We are not in charge of the game itself, so we can't guarantee the good time. But so far, Texas fans, we've had a pretty good time out there. And your team has looked pretty good and gotten victories. Come see us at 183 and Anderson Mill. And we'll see if the Longhorns can handle the Wildcats of Kentucky. Football with Friends tonight at 6, Old Fashioned tomorrow morning at 9. That's with Anwar Richardson. Anwar got you the notes earlier today and on orangebloods.com from Sark's press conference. I'm about to go check those out right now. We'll be back tomorrow for a Friday show before Texas and Kentucky. We'll get you a Scottish guy tomorrow. And Jeff Ketchum will be back after trying to figure out what his dental situation is going to be. Thanks to all of our great partners. Thanks to Specs for helping us with the chat. And thanks to you, damn near 660 of you in the Specs chat as we get ready to close up. Y'all have a good rest of your Thursday. Thursday night NFL tonight is Steelers-Browns. I'm sure there's a Thursday night college game, but I'm sure it's not near as good as that. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe and, get ready for House Divided in 9 days. See ya.